All right, a bunch of San Francisco 49ers breaking news just dropped on this Saturday. My name is Chase Sr. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. And if you want Niners coverage every single day year-round, don't forget to give me a follow and subscribe. We are past 180,000 subscribers here on the 49ers Report. I just started a TikTok page a couple of weeks ago, already closing in on 4,000 followers there. Appreciate all of the real ones who have given me a follow. It's at Chase_Senior on all individual personal platforms for me. So a lot to talk about here, a lot to dissect. We're hands-free, no worries. We just want to talk some Niners here because that's what we do here on the channel. The 49ers, breaking news, just placed wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk on the reserve/left team list. You don't see this often. And what it means is that Brandon Aiyuk's time with the San Francisco 49ers is officially over. And by putting him on that left team reserve list, he is ineligible to return this season for the Niners. Now, Diana Rossini had a report earlier this morning that the 49ers were optimistic and hopeful that BA would return to practice once cleared, because it seems as though he's at a point where he could technically be cleared by the medical staff, but the Niners' optimism, according to Rossini, was waning, and they were losing confidence and losing hope that Aiyuk was actually going to participate during this stretch run in which the 49ers are 9-4. They've overcome season-ending injuries to Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. They have faced a lot of adversity. Robert Saleh has maximized the defense. The Niners have won 9 games with 2 different quarterbacks. Mac Jones, 5 of them. Brock Purdy, the rest. And now with Aiyuk being placed on this list, you're just not going to see him in a Niners uniform again. And that's something that I had predicted back, nearly a month ago at this point, when San Francisco voided the contract guarantees for him in 2026, and that was reported on at the time. So a bizarre situation leads to the end of Aiyuk's 2025 season before it even began, and in turn, in the process, ends his Niners career. And I've passed along a lot of different thoughts on this. It's unfortunate how he's gone from a beloved Niner who was a great developmental piece for San Francisco. And after they drafted him in the first round in 2020, that was the COVID year, that offseason, limited training camp practices, no preseason games, yet he still was able to lead the team in receiving in that disastrous injury-plagued 2023 season. And there were some early rumblings that the Niners weren't thrilled with him, right? And then in 2021, year 2, he starts the season in Kyle Shanahan's doghouse. The Niners start the season 3-5. Then he turns it around and helps San Francisco make it to the NFC Championship game that year. And you saw glimpses of him becoming a really special wideout. I'll never forget the wild card game in the 2021 playoffs when the Niners were on the road to play the Dallas Cowboys, and Aiyuk looked better, played better, performed better in that game than fellow rookie CeeDee Lamb. And obviously CeeDee has gone on to be a more productive player, but Aiyuk in that game showed more toughness, caught the ball more consistently, showed up, and you're like, wow, he can really become a player, because at that time they were kind of battling in that 2020 draft class, And then in 2022, he gets better and better in each of those seasons. 2022, he goes over 1,000 yards for the first time. 2023, he becomes a second-team All-Pro. I want everybody to realize how special it is to be able to do that when you think about the depth of overall talent at the wide receiver position in the National Football League. And Aiyuk was an All-Pro, meaning he was one of the best wide receivers among all in the year in 2023. And so he was the second highest graded wide receiver according to PFF. Of course, had a career season. Second in the league in receiving yards. I thought what Aiyuk did in 2022 and in 2023 with fewer targets because of the Niners' run-heavy approach compared to other wide receivers who had more targets and obviously more production. I thought what Aiyuk did with limited opportunities as compared to the other studs and all pros at the position, it was really impressive what he was able to do. And so he got to a point where he earned that contract that he got in 2024. But it's all about how he handled it, right? And how things, as I mentioned earlier, soured so quickly. To me right now, this signals that Brandon Aiyuk is quitting on the 49ers. They are 9-4 right now. They could use another player at the wide receiver spot. And if your wide receiver depth chart is Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, Brandon Aiyuk, as you're 9-4, you've won 3 games in a row, your defense is improving, you are in the race in a wide open NFC. For me, the competitive nature for me would want me to get back on the field despite what the Niners did in avoiding Aiyuk's 2026 guarantees. I can see a world where obviously he's frustrated by that and he's saying, F the Niners, this is BS, they voided the guarantees in my contract, I'm done with that organization, I don't want anything to do with them anymore, and I'm not going to risk getting hurt for this team that's treated me like this. But the reason they voided his contract guarantees is because when you sign a contract, you have to oblige by that contract and you have to follow the fine print of that contract. And if you do, you're violating the business that you're working for as far as the rules there and how your goals are aligned. And the same can be said for a sports organization. And when the Niners don't see Brandon Aiyuk showing up to rehab assignments when he's torn his ACL, MCL, meniscus, and he doesn't show up to team functions, and they're not happy with how he's carried himself, they have every right to void his contract guarantees. And if Aiyuk has a problem with it, there is a route that he can go. He can fight this with the NFL Players Association. But he's not even fighting this with the NFL Players Association, which tells me he's so done with the Niners. And going back to what we talked about with the lead up of that contract extension, they gave him $76 million in guaranteed money, $120 million, $30 million per year, after all the bullshit. So I know Aiyuk is salty with the Niners. They still rewarded him, and they tried to do good by him and trade him away, but he turned down trades to the Browns and Patriots. So then he goes about it in this manner, which is leading to an inevitable divorce, and I just disagree with the lack of maturity, the bad advice he might be getting, and how he's kind of quitting on his team. I know that business can be personal. I know that in my career. I've been in media for 10 years. It's not the easiest business. A lot of you can relate to that. But again, when you sign a contract, you have to fulfill that contract, and if you don't, the business or the organization and team that is signing your paychecks has the right to void your guarantees. And if you didn't like it, you could have fought it with the NFLPA. And there's no way, really, in my opinion, to defend how Aiyuk acted in the lead up to that contract, and he still got paid. Important to emphasize again. Tweeting directly at Mike Tomlin, Instagram videos on the way into work, subtle messages, cryptic posts, FaceTime with Jaden Daniels, getting undressed on the practice field in front of Kyle Shanahan. He did not act mature or professional. Since the moment the Niners lost the Super Bowl, where people in his camp were saying, Aiyuk's done with the Niners, BA to Vegas. You want to go to Vegas? Have fun in Vegas. Because that's a dog shit organization, and they haven't done anything since Rich Gannon in the early 2000s. You want to go there? So be it. You might get your targets, you might have some production, but the environment and losing sucks. So be careful what you wish for. So for BA, he'll be playing somewhere else in 2026. Niners in the process open up about $25 million in cap space for next year. 84 to 87, I think, over the next few. They pay him $31 million to play 7 games because that was post-contract and prior to the injury in October of last year against Kansas City. And there's a lot of buzz that maybe he could be traded to the Commanders. The theory that I talked about and put up a video yesterday was that the Niners are voiding his contract guarantees, Aiyuk not fighting with the NFLPA because they've worked out a deal behind the scenes where if he doesn't fight it, The Niners can get value back. They can open up some cap space. NBA can go to a destination where he wants to go. Best friends with Jane Daniels. Adam Peters, the GM, was the assistant GM under John Lynch from 2017 through 2023. Obviously, Debo's there, but he's a free agent. And Jane Daniels, Aiyuk, boys. Jane Daniels was at Aiyuk's wedding. Brock Purdy was not. And so that could be a destination where San Francisco could get some value back for Aiyuk. Because he really doesn't have a lot of value, in my opinion, when you consider the circumstances. Like, what team wants to absorb that contract, pay him an average annual value of $30 million per year, and after he has not played all of 2025, how do you know what he looks like from a physical standpoint? And then what type of guy are you getting as well? And so I don't think a team wants to give up capital for that. But if you can work out a trade, if you're the Niners, to a team like Washington, get some value back, open up some cap space, obviously that's a win. The other Niners news to get to here on this Saturday, what is it? This month's flying by. December 13th. Christian McCaffrey was sick at the end of the week. He didn't practice on Friday. He is being listed as questionable against the Titans, not because of an illness, but because of a back injury. So he's popped up on the injury report on that front. But according to Adam Schefter, he is expected to play. And he's closing in on a couple of different milestones as far as all-purpose yards in a season and multiple seasons among all players in NFL history. I put up a video on that on the 49ers Report, both YouTube short and a long-form video, so you can check that out. But he's on the verge of making history against Tennessee if he does play. According to Schefter, he is going to play, averaging around 120 all-purpose yards per game, absolute stud, and receiving rushing-wise has been so impactful. And then the Niners also elevating Sebastian Valdez from the practice squad, the defensive tackle, rookie UDFA out of Washington, and linebacker Jalen Graham. Now, Jalen Graham played against Cleveland prior to the bye week and was elevated off the P squad. But that means that Eric Kendricks is not going to play. He had a little bit of a calf injury this week. He's been a durable player throughout his career, been in the league 10 years, over 100 tackles, 9 straight seasons, every year after his rookie year. So he's been a durable player, but I think he's going to need another week to get that calf right. So that is the Niners breaking news on this Saturday. We'll be live for a watch party, Niners-Titans tomorrow. Game is 4:25 p.m. Eastern, 1:25 p.m. Pacific. Myself and Chip. Best place to experience a Niners game day outside of being at the actual game. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Follow me on all social media platforms at Chase_Senior. Peace.